Hey guys, Gradysmom here with volume 8 of my cooking series. Today I am making one of my favorite meals of all time. I'm going to be making chicken parmesan along with a baked penne dish on the side. So this is going to be a little bit different because I'm going to be doing a whole meal. So sort of a two-part recipe. The first main part is going to be the chicken parmesan, which I'm going to be showing you how to make. And then whenever I make chicken parmesan, I always make a baked pasta on the side. Normally I do baked penne. Penne is one of my personal favorite types of pasta. It always has been. I just really like it a lot. So whenever I make chicken parm, I always make a baked penne dish on the side. It's very simple, and it uses pretty much all of the same ingredients, so you don't need to get anything special out. So for this recipe, we're going to be using chicken breasts. Here I just have some cutlets from Publix, and these are the boneless, skinless, thin sliced breasts. They are more expensive because they are already thinly sliced. If you want to just buy regular, bigger, thicker chicken breast, that's completely fine. However, if you are going to do that, I would recommend either cutting them thinner, or you can use a meat mallet and pound them out thinner and get more bang for your buck that way. Because in my opinion, I personally like a thinner chicken cutlet for the chicken parmesan. So I have 2 packages here of, again, the boneless, skinless chicken breasts. I don't know how many are in here because you can never really tell until you open it up, but I'm going to guess 4 to 5 total here. So I have that. You're going to need some flour to dredge the chicken in. You're going to need some eggs, and you're going to also need breadcrumb, which the flour, the egg, and the breadcrumbs are sort of the 3-step process to getting that nice breading. So here I just have some Italian-style breadcrumbs. You can use any kind that you like, any brand that you like. I just happen to have the Italian here. Again, you're going to need eggs. I'm not sure quite yet how many. Obviously, I'm not going to need this many, but I'm going to guess I'm probably going to use about 3 to 4 eggs. You're going to need some shredded mozzarella cheese. I just have some light shredded mozzarella from Trader Joe's. Any brand is fine, but you're probably going to want to stick with mozzarella in this recipe. You're also going to need a marinara sauce of your choice. I'm just going to use the Trader Joe's. I really like it a lot. And because I'm using this big can, which is a 28-ounce can, I'm going to be able to use this for both the chicken parmesan as well as that pasta side bake that I talked about briefly. So this can will get me through both of the dishes. You're also going to need some Parmesan cheese or Romano cheese, whatever you like. You're also going to need some kind of oil. I would recommend canola, vegetable, or peanut oil over olive oil. But if olive oil is what you have, that'll work as well. I like canola oil. And you're going to need the oil to fry up the chicken in. And then for the pasta dish, obviously you're going to need pasta. I'm going to use penne. Again, you can use any kind you want, but I would recommend using something tube-like this or rigatoni or ziti. Again, you can use any kind of pasta that you like. So I'm going to go ahead first, and I'm going to get my pasta out of the way. So I'm going to get a big pot with a little bit of salted water inside, and I'm going to get this penne boiled up. I'm not going to use the whole box. This is a 1-pound box. I'm going to use about 3/4 of it because, again, this is sort of just a side accompaniment to the chicken. So I'm going to go ahead first, like I said, and get this pasta boiled up. So that is one step that is out of my way and done, and then I'm going to go ahead and work on the chicken. So I'll be back with you shortly. Okay, guys, so my pasta is done. It's fully cooked. It's in the strainer, just steaming away, and it's perfectly fine there. It is done. I don't have to think about it anymore for now. Next up comes the, I don't want to say tricky or hard part, but the sort of intricate part. This is how I do my chicken parm or chicken cutlets or anytime I fry or bread meat. I do an assembly line, okay? It just makes the most sense. I learned this in culinary school. I watch my mom and my grandma do it. Trust me, once you start doing it this way, you will never do it another way. You're going to do an assembly line. So obviously you're going to want to go in order. It's pretty logical. So I have my chicken breast that I have rinsed just to get any yucky chicken juice or film off. I took out any extra fatty, chunks that I saw. There are 6 thin cut chicken breasts here. So I was wrong. I didn't know if it was 4 to 5. It's actually 6. So again, we're going to go in order logically of the layers we're going to coat the meat in, if you will. Chicken, flour, egg, which is just 4 scrambled eggs. You just want to beat them up really well. My breadcrumb, and an empty plate to put the breaded meat next to the big skillet, because again, this is all in order. So once the meat is finished and fully breaded, it's going to go into the skillet, which I don't have turned on yet. I just have my canola oil in there. Hopefully you guys can see how much I have. You don't want to submerge the meat. We're not deep frying it. We're just pan frying it. And we are doing it partially. So we're going to get the outside, the breading crispy. The inside's not going to be fully cooked. It's probably only going to be about, I don't know, 30 to 40% cooked. And we're going to bake it the rest of the way. Okay, so again, assembly line. It might look a little complicated to somebody who has never done this before, but trust me, once you guys see how efficient this method is, you will use this in every time you do breading of meat. I do this with fish for my husband. I do it with pork chops if I'm making breaded pork chops. Always with chicken. A lot of times I make chicken cutlets, and this is the most efficient way. Have everything in its place before you begin, because you will thank yourself later. So I'm gonna go ahead, get my tripod set up, and show you guys how to bread up all this beautiful meat and get it all the way down to the final resting place before it goes into the pan. Okay guys, so it's just something to keep in mind. Right here where my hand is, underneath my hand, is the chicken. I have to set the tripod this way so you can see the rest of the process. So all you're missing out in the picture is just the chicken, which is right underneath the camera. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my chicken, one piece at a time, and I'm going to get it into the flour. Also, this is very important, and it does take some practice. It doesn't sound like it would, but it does. You're gonna wanna use one hand for wet and one hand you're gonna keep dry. I know that sounds weird, but if you don't and you use both hands for everything, you're gonna end up with a mitt of breadcrumb. And I know some people might know what I mean by that, but this is just something I learned from watching my mom and my grandmother. So as you can see, this hand here is completely staying out of the flour. It's hard because your brain wants to use both hands, but I've just conditioned my brain to not, because trust me, you'll thank me later. So I floured both sides, and now I'm egging both sides, okay? So flour and egg. Again, it's right in order, so you can't mess up the process. Egg both sides, breadcrumb both sides. And you definitely want to get it nice and coated, okay? Doesn't have to be crazy, but just try and coat any egg that you see, and shake off a little bit of the excess, and then this is going to go right on the plate. So as you can see, just by doing one, my fingers are pretty coated already, and you don't want both hands like that. So we're gonna flour. I'm just gonna do a couple of these to show you guys, since two will be able to pretty much sum up how it's done. And just shake off gently a little bit of the extra flour. Egg. The egg is pretty, you just gotta kind of flip it a few times, because sometimes the egg wants to resist a little bit. So we have the egg right into the breadcrumb. I always like to have one clean hand for many reasons, because you just never know. And it definitely took some practice, because I used to have two hands that looked like a breadcrumb baseball mitt, because you'll see in a minute. Okay, so my second one, gonna shake it off just gently and add it to the plate. Also, you're gonna wanna kind of give the plates a little bit of a shimmy so there's no holes for the dry stuff, the flour and the breadcrumbs. And if you can see my fingers, that's just after two. So imagine after I do all 6 of them. And this hand is nice and clean still, so we wanna keep doing that. So I'm just gonna continue to do what I just did. Let me give you guys a closer look at the 2 that are done. So I'm just gonna get the other 4 looking exactly like this, and I will show you guys when I have all 6 on this plate how to fry them up in the pan. So that is what I'm doing right now. So you guys are not missing anything, I promise. Okay guys, hopefully you can hear me, because I do have the exhaust fan on. My chicken is all breaded. I have my skillet here heating up on somewhere between medium and high, so let's call it medium high. So it feels nice and hot. Now, you don't want to just put your chicken right in when the oil is not hot. If you do that, the breading on the chicken is going to soak in the oil, and you're pretty much gonna taste like, it's gonna taste like oiled chicken parm. It's gonna taste very oily. So if you let your oil heat up, for whatever reason, I don't know why, the breading does not soak in that oil flavor, because I don't know about you, but I don't want to eat something that tastes like oil. So it feels ready to go. You're going to want it pretty hot. And I have some tongs here. You can use a fork if you don't have tongs. I find tongs are the easiest for me. So we have 6 cutlets. We do not want to crowd the pan. So I'm going to do 2 batches, 3 and 3. So I'm going to get my first cutlet gently in. And you're going to want to hear that nice sizzle. My second cutlet, gently in. I don't want oil splattering everywhere, so that's why I'm saying to put it in gently. And my third one in, gently. And you don't want to crowd them. You want to give each cutlet its little space, okay? So I've got 3 waiting on deck and 3 that are in the oil, and you definitely want it to be sizzling, especially around those edges. I'm going to do about 2 minutes, just barely, maybe even closer to like a minute and a half, because we're not cooking these, so we're not going to worry about what the inside looks like. All we want is a golden brown crust. So I'm just going to let these go for about another minute and change, and I will show you how they're supposed to look when you flip them over to get the other side browned up. Okay guys, so literally about a minute and a half has gone by since I put them in the oil. So we're going to gently, I'm going to flip the first one over that I put in first, flip it over, and look at that. Only a minute and a half, nice and golden brown. So I'm going to do the second one very gently because I don't want splatter. And that is all you want. That's all you're looking for, that nice golden brown, just like that. The third one, I'm going to flip over as well. See, this one's a little bit less done because I put it in last. But you're pretty much looking for that consistency right there, okay? So I'm just gonna finish these off. So the other side that I flipped looks like this. Do the same thing with this, and then we're going to assemble the chicken parm. Okay guys, so my chicken is all ready. Again, it's not cooked on the inside, it's just browned on the outside because it's going to finish cooking in the oven. So I have my marinara sauce open. I have my cheese ready. I have to grab my Parmesan. I have that pasta that was all cooked and drained right here, and I'm going to show you how I put all of this together. Super simple. Alrighty, so we're going to do the pasta first. Okay, so I'm just going to grab a spoon. Just making sure you guys can see this okay. Okay, so first I'm going to get, I don't know, about half the pasta in this baking dish. I'm going to add a couple big tablespoons, maybe 3 tablespoons of the sauce, okay? And then I'm just going to slowly, again, this is half the pasta, work this in. Just so the pasta gets coated with the sauce. It doesn't have to be drenched, but you just want a nice coat. Like that, okay? So I'm going to get the rest of the pasta. I do it in 2 batches like this just to make sure it's all coated really well, guys, because you want the pasta to be coated with the sauce or it's going to shrivel up and dry out and have no flavor. Again, we're going to do, I don't know, 3 big tablespoons. Okay, sort of work this through again. And then eventually it'll all get combined, the first batch with the second batch. So super simple, pasta and sauce. My son actually really likes this baked penne. Okay, so that looks pretty well coated to me. Next, I'll just rinse off my hand. I'm going to get the Parmesan cheese, hopefully you guys can see. And I'm just gonna get some generous shakes of this going. And Parmesan is very salty, so that's why I'm not adding any salt at all to this, okay? So again, I'm just gonna work this in gently, definitely gently, because I don't want Parmesan all over me or my kitchen. So just work that in. and it kind of dissolves nicely. It kind of gets sucked into that sauce. Okay, and then next, the shredded mozzarella cheese. I'm not going to use a whole lot, okay, because the main star in this pasta is the Parmesan cheese. So I'm not going to use a whole lot of mozzarella cheese, but I'm just going to kind of fold that in gently. And the mozzarella just works really well with the Parmesan. And again, you're not going to want to add salt because the Parmesan is very salty. So just kind of work it in, just gently like that. Okay. And then I just kind of use the back end, the flat end of my spoon to sort of even it out. Like that. I'm just going to give my hands a quick wash. Okay, and then to this, totally optional, I'm just going to add a little bit of black pepper. I'm not going to add salt again because the Parmesan cheese. So I'm just going to add a little bit of black pepper. I'm going to top it off with some more Parmesan cheese because I like how it, when it bakes, it kind of forms like a nice crust. If you don't like Parmesan, obviously you don't have to add this much, but I just really like the way it gives a crust. Okay, so this is ready to go in the oven. I'm just going to cover it with foil, and I'm gonna cut a few slits in the foil. You have to vent this for the steam to escape, and it's gonna get all nice and cheesy and bubbly, and it's super easy and delicious. And next I'm gonna move on to the chicken. Okay, so hopefully you can see my hands okay. Okay, so here's my pan that I'm gonna use for my chicken parm. I am gonna go ahead and spray it with some cooking spray just so nothing sticks. You don't have to do this, but I just do it to save myself a little time for cleanup later. Okay, so I'm gonna grab another spoon. And first what I'm going to do is put a couple tablespoons in the bottom of the pan, and I'm just gonna kind of spread the sauce out. So you don't want it really thick and goopy. That's why I'm spreading it out. Just so that it creates a kind of moist base on the bottom. Okay, so that's probably about enough here. Okay, so just a little base like that. Next, I'm going to lay my chicken. We're going to do 2 layers, 3 and 3, in the bottom. Like that. It doesn't have to be perfect, obviously, but try and fit it in there the best that you can. So that looks pretty good. Okay, so we're going to do chicken. We're going to do some sauce on each cutlet. Now the sauce will not evaporate, but it will, dry up a little bit when it bakes. So you don't want too much sauce, but you don't want too little either. Sort of a fine line. Okay, and then we're going to top these 3 with cheese. Like that. Yummy, looks so good. I love chicken parm. Okay, and then the next 3 cutlets, I'm going to kind of try to angle them so they're kind of filling in any cracks. Like that. Okay. Sauce. This is really good marinara sauce, guys. The Trader Joe's sauce. It has a really, really good homemade flavor. I really like it a lot. It really impressed me. And this is coming from somebody who grew up eating homemade tomato sauce. Always. My mom, to this day, never uses like a jarred or canned sauce because she makes her own. Okay. So that's the second layer. Some cheese. Like that. Yummy, yummy. And then lastly, I'm just going to do some Parmesan over the top. And there we have it. Let me just move this over. So there we have it. So this I'm going to bake uncovered on 350 for about 35 minutes. And I will keep an eye on it because it could be 30 to 40 minutes, but it's probably gonna be around 35. So that is how easy it is to put together. It's a little bit time consuming getting the meat breaded and fried up, but trust me, chicken parm is so delicious, as you guys know, that it's worth the effort. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this and my pasta, which I have to grab, so I'll show them both together. So I'm gonna get my pasta and my chicken in the oven. They both take the same amount of time, and show you guys what they look like when they come out. Okay guys, so the chicken parm took exactly 35 minutes on the dot. It is nice and browned, the cheese is all melted and it's still sizzling. And the nice thing is putting it in the oven will crisp it back up a little bit from earlier. So it just looks absolutely delicious. The pasta looks absolutely delicious. It's nice and kind of sort of crispy and crusty from the different cheeses in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and plate this up. I did put a little bit of just dried parsley on top just for kind of give it a nice finishing look. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these two things plated up and I'll show you how good they look. Okay, so it's all plated up and it looks really delicious. So I'm just gonna start with one big piece, and then if I finish all this, I'll just have a smaller piece of chicken, but there's gonna be plenty of leftovers regardless. So again, this is one of my favorite dinners. I don't make it that much because it is a little bit time consuming, and I am more of a kind of quick and easy dinner sort of person, but I do like to make it, you know, a handful of times per year, and I wanted to share it with you all. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you will give it a try, and I hope you enjoyed this Volume 8 cooking series. Have a great day, and I will see you guys all very soon. Bye!